Hello everyone, this is James Wong from the Microsol Resources Tech Team bringing you another video today. Our focus today is the Revit 2012 deployment tools that Autodesk released early June. As I'm sure most of you know, there aren't too many options for customization with Revit 2012. That's why Autodesk released these new tools to help you guys out. So let's have a little quick overview of what I intend to cover today. We'll start by discussing the Revit 2012 deployment and the new tool released by Autodesk. We'll close out by doing a demo of how to modify content location, as well as making some customizations to Revit behavior. We'll hit up the XML document using Notepad or Notepad++, and we can tweak it to our heart's content, making changes as we need. Alright, let's start by talking about customizing Revit 2012. When you create the Revit deployment, you can change where Revit content is stored. By default, it is stored on a C drive under the Program Data folder, local to each workstation. Larger firms prefer this content stored on a network, either on a shared folder on the server or even a DFS target to maintain a level of consistency throughout the office. In order to configure Revit, in the past you would have modified the Revit INI file on the deployment image. By modifying the INI file, BIM managers have a lot of control on how the software behaves, including suppressing prompts, controlling selection behavior, and even controlling graphic settings. Well, for 2012, this process has changed. There is no Revit.ini file on the deployment image. Instead, the INI file is created by another file called the INI file.xml file. During each workstation installation, the Revit.ini file is actually generated from this INI file.xml. Alright, so let's create some deployments now. I have already downloaded the Autodesk deployment image. I'm going to have the deployment name here. I'm going to cue some music while we start this up. Admin path is going to be straight in my DFS path. Make sure your checkboxes are proper. You got a network log here. Go right ahead, click on next. I accept, click next. Enter your serial number and your product key. Make sure you select network license. Everything's pretty basic right here. You've done this before, you've done it a million times. Nothing too special. Before we click create, let's click on the little arrow. Have some settings to double check. You can actually add content if you have additional content packs or XML documents. So you want to keep mind of some configurable folders here. By default, it's going to go into the C drive. I don't want that. I'm going to actually specify the shared path. It's going to be on my DFS. I'm just going to paste the path here and type in IS. Do the same for library. So I actually set these folders up before I started this process, so make sure you guys do that first. And there you have it. Scroll down. And then when I double check to make sure that the include computer names are in the error reports. Always want those. And since I do have a Revit server, I'm going to load my Revit server name here. Make sure you type it in. And if you have a Revit server, make sure you turn it on, because what happens is that it's going to try to run a query on it. Right now my RS1 server is off, so it can't verify, but that's okay, we'll let it go. Alright, let's click on create. Let's run through its process and we'll be good to go. Click finish. So now that we just finished the deployment creation, we're gonna do some modifications and customization. I've already downloaded the Revit 2012 deployment tools. I'm gonna copy the content from the zip folder and place it onto my deployment image. Right here, paste, and I'm actually gonna create a new folder. It's gonna be called content, and this is where I'm gonna store all the imperial templates and family templates, detailed components, and all the good stuff. Before we begin, we actually have to do some prep work. I'm just gonna browse into admin image x64 RAC 2012 and make a copy of the ini file.xml. And this is the original file, so we don't want to mess with this. Just gonna paste and call this ini file-backup. In addition to that, I'm going to make another copy of that, and I'm going to call it ini file-mrc. The ini file-mrc will have actually all the configurations that I want to push out to all my users. I already have some configurations done, and in a Revit-mrc file in my folder structure, you look here, I'm going to see that the content paths are correct. It's in my DFS share and will be shared throughout all my offices. You can see that they point to a centralized location for content for Imperial templates and Imperial library, as well as for the IES file locations. Notice also at the bottom I have some configurations. Suppress new features workshop, the press and drag, I always turn that off. Display recent files to 0. I'm going to copy this file and I'm going to move it over to our path here. And right now I'm going to use the Revit deployment utility I just extracted from Autodesk. You have to view the license agreement, browse to the custom Revit ini file, then the original ini file, and also the resultant XML file. That's why I created the MRC XML. Before we actually click on execute, I want to copy another XML file that I created earlier. This file is the master.rac.xml file. So when Revit is installed on each workstation, each installation will want to trigger an overwrite to the shared content directory. Since my shared content directory is on my DFS and the DFS gets replicated to all my offices, I don't want that. This file will actually prevent overwrites to my content directory. So click on the suppress content tab, then browse into the appropriate directories. Let's go back a couple of folders and go into the content folder and select the master ARRAC.xml, verify your settings, and click execute. The custom ini.xml file is created. Click OK, and that's the first option. Before you go into deploying all this software to your workstations, let's go ahead and do a ini file.xml switch. The ini file.xml is still the original. We want to use the ini file-mrc to be pushed out to all the workstations. So we're going to do a little file name switch around. And the ini file-mrc, we're just going to call the ini file.xml. And there you have it. Right now, you're able to push all your customizations into your deployments to your workstations. So the second option is to make customizations to the Revit ini file.xml file directly. You can do this by browsing into the file and editing the XML file. Since the XML file is just a plain text document, you can actually use Notepad to do the edits. But of course there's no formatting. So what I'm going to do is close this and use Notepad++. What it does, it has color blocks to ensure that the XML coding and the syntax is correct. You can scroll down and see the Revit.ini file that gets created and all the customizations that we previously made. So in case you forgot a customization, you actually can add it right here. So right now I'm going to add an option to suppress tooltips. So section name, data keys equals, alright, and since the syntax is the same as the top here, I'm just going to copy, paste, save myself time on the typing, copy the section area, copy and paste that, check my formatting, and I'm saving, close out, good to go. Deploy via group policy or SCCM. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope this video was helpful. From the Microsol Resources Tech Team, this is James Wong signing out.